Back with another course vlog, and apart from a few mishits, this was the best ball striking round I've had in recent memory. So I hit this drive a little bit left out of the fairway and just had to punch out from under this tree. Hit a really good about 50% gap wedge up there, and this was the first putt of the day. Ended up a little short but right on line, so I tapped in for a par. Flushed this wedge on the short par 3 second hole, and usually it'll spin back farther, but I kind of got held up in the fringe on the back and hit a decent putt, just misread it and it jumped off to the left. Kind of started coming back, but another tap in par. And I'll let you listen to the commentary on this next tee shot.
He's not gonna like that one at all. Dead push to the right. Babies are crying. Oh, sorry, excuse me.
So I had a really tough shot under the trees here. Definitely didn't want to hit that cement drinking fountain. And I think I shot the wrong distance because I carried way over the green and had a really impossible chip shot. Got a decent shot in there, but a really hard bounce right. And I had a putt here for par, just off the green. Missed that left and had a tap-in bogey. Hit a decent drive here, just pulled a little bit left, but just far enough past the trees that I wasn't stuck. I did have to kind of go under this last tree and hit a 50% gap wedge. Again, really nice. Ended up about 15 feet from the hole. A little downhill putt and drain that for birdie to bring me back to even par. I crushed this 3 hybrid really high with a nice fade, and usually I don't hit it this far, but I ended up in the bunker in the fairway. So I just hit a little cut 6-iron down there out to the middle of the fairway and hit it perfectly. And I had about 60 yards in. I aimed directly at the flag and pulled it pretty bad, which sucks because it went long and left. If I had just aimed at the middle of the green, it would have ended up just fine. So I pitched up a decent shot from back there, but I still had a putt from on the fringe. And missed that, but luckily put this last putt in for a bogey. Again, another really nice drive here, just not quite enough draw, so I ended up just right of the last tree in the fairway, luckily long enough to have a shot. And I ended up hitting this a little too long, up past the flag. So I had a big breaking downhill putt and just lagged it up there. It was a decent putt, just not high enough, but I still had that tap in for par. This hole is playing about 345 to the pin, and I nuked this drive, probably the best one in a long time. I was just past pin high. Had to do a little flop shot over a couple swales, and it was as good as I can do. So I had a good look for birdie and just kind of misread this, hit a good putt. But again, another tap-in par. More commentary on the number 8 par 3.
Oh, he likes it. It's drawing a little too much. He wants it to sit. It's gonna backspin right into the hole.
And I clipped this pitch shot out of a dirt lie way better than I thought it would, so it ended up spinning and stopped short. So I had this long par putt, and it just kind of broke off left instead of right, but a tap-in bogey there. Hit a great tee shot here, only ended up having about 165 yards in on this par 5. And I hit a really good 8-iron. I wanted to play it safe and go a little left. It kind of just stayed out left and landed just right of that left side bunker. So I had this eagle putt from the fringe. It's a pretty tough putt. It's a big sweeping left to righter, a little bit downhill, and ended up missing it on the low side, but can't complain about a tap-in birdie. So I'm +1 through 9 and hit this tee shot on 10 dead straight. When you really need to go, faded around the trees to the right, so I didn't really have a shot here. I hit a 5-iron punch and hit it as pure as I ever have, and ended up going a little bit long. Then I hit a really good pitch shot, landed it on the downslope and rolled it up down towards the pin. And had a little 5-foot uphill putt for par and made that one.
Oh!
This was one of the worst tee shots of the day, just kind of flared a 7-iron out there to the right. And then I had a pitch shot from the back of the green from what I guess you could call fringe. It was more like dirt. And I don't know why I hit this. I had it in the totally wrong place in my stance, but I just stepped up there and hit what I should have hit the first time. Didn't really aim, ended up alright, but luckily I made this comeback bogey putt.
What a putt.
Absolutely demolished this drive, probably the best drive I've ever hit on this hole, and I had about 230 in, so I took a 4 hybrid and tried to draw it in there, but ended up just fading off a teeny bit, so I ended up right of the right side bunker. Again, it was a horrible lie. It was basically just sand, and I ended up sculling it over the green. And again, I did the same thing coming back from a similar lie. I ended up in the bunker on a downslope, but hit actually a really good bunker shot here, so I was hoping to make this one putt for bogey. But of course I missed that after the best drive of the day for a double. I did make a good recovery swing on the next hole, which is a par 3, about 175 I think. Ended up just about 10 feet from the hole, and I didn't get the putt, but I did make that for a birdie. Pulled this drive just a little bit and ended up clipping the right side of a tree and dropping down. Had about 140 to the hole and hit kind of a knockdown 3/4 9-iron, and I hit it perfectly, but ended up going over the green, so I pitched up to here, and this is my par putt. Ended up missing that and tapping in for a bogey. This green is drivable, but it's really not worth it, so I just hit a 5-iron down the middle. Then I have a nice little wedge in here. I hit this absolutely perfect, but it landed just before the hill in the green, skipped up right on top and stopped. And if it had ended up a foot or two longer or shorter, it would have come right back down the hill at the hole. And that putt's just impossible to stop by the hole, but luckily I put that in for par.
Nice par.
Again, been driving it super well lately. This was by far the best tee shot I've ever hit on this hole.
Good for you.
So again, I had a little wedge in here, hit what I thought was a perfect shot, but ended up just taking too much club and flew the green directly over the pin. So I had to chip it up there, tried to do a little bump and run, but ended up just short. Ended up missing this par putt and tapping in for a bogey. So another bogey after an excellent drive, which is disappointing. Another tee shot with a 5-iron on this other short par 4 and hit this one nicely right down the right side. Ended up hitting the most pure wedge I've probably ever hit in my life. Ended up about 8 feet from the hole. And gave this one a run for another birdie, so that was 4 birdies on the day. And I was so excited I couldn't get the ball out of the hole. 18, you gotta hit a big hook. I ended up hitting it really far and really straight, so I went right into the other fairway. And then I crushed this 4 hybrid way over the trees as a layup. So I had about 70 yards in with a wedge, tried to saw one off, ended up pulling it just a little bit, but had about 25 feet for a birdie on 18. I hit a mediocre putt, so it just broke off to the right, but I ended up tapping in to finish with a par. And if it weren't for a few mishit chip shots and 2 or 3 missed clubs, I would have hit my goal of under par, so I'm feeling good about the next round.